Okay guys, so the topic of conversation this week is going to be about prehab and the prevention of injury. In order to understand how to prevent injuries, we must actually understand what injuries are the most common within a circuit-based format. Once this has been detailed, we'll look at prevention strategies such as mobility programming, etc. Start off by talking about what is prehab. So prehab is a form of training designed to prevent injuries before their occurrence. Prehab must be constantly evolving to meet the needs of the athlete. Okay, so as they progress, prehab must also progress. A good quote which actually summarizes the importance of prehab is pursuing a rapid increase in performance without doing prehab for injury is like getting into an F1 racing car without checking your tires. Okay, so it's a fundamental component of your training. You need to be doing it. The benefits of prehab extend beyond avoidance of potential injury. Prehab actually allows you to develop areas of weaknesses which actually cause limitations in your training, for example ankle mobility and squat depth. Once range of motion is actually increased, for example in a movement such as a squat, there can be more recruitment and greater activation of the muscle groups that are working because they're using an extended length of their own range and capacity. Therefore development and therefore progression will be increased. So, the most common injuries that are associated with circuit-based training are things like lower back stress. Okay, so feeling a little bit of tension during flexion or movements such as like the deadlift or anything that involves spinal flexion. Things like tendonitis from overuse injuries. Things like muscular strain from excessive wear and tear on the joints and the muscle. Knee discomfort, shoulder discomfort, hip flexor strain, shin splints, sciatic stress, etc. They are all very, very prominent within circuit-based training. Over the last few months, I've actually seen quite a lot of you deal with a few of these injuries. Although it's not your fault or ours, it is something that is quite prominent and therefore we want to alleviate. A lot of these issues are actually as a result of muscular imbalance, which are actually caused by improper training. Muscular imbalance actually causes an increased susceptibility to injury. An example of muscular imbalance leading to injury is the idea of knee discomfort. So a lot of people have things like patellar tendonitis, etc., due to imbalance between their quadriceps and their hamstrings. Okay, it causes excessive amounts of stress on that knee capsule. Therefore, things like plyometric movements, etc., are just going to be putting loads and loads of force through that kneecap, therefore causing an increased likelihood of injury. When there is commonality, there should be an explanation. So let's talk about the explanations of increased injury. Injury is often accepted as a part of training, however it should not be. Many common injuries are actually easily avoidable through the uptake of certain precautions. The simple explanation to injury prevalence in today's training is we simply no longer know how to move. Subjecting the body to limited or improper forms of movement, for example being sat at a desk hunched over, will cause a change in our body's mechanics. Certain muscles will become tight whereas others become extremely lax, therefore pulling the body out of alignment. The lack of body balance will actually subject us to excessive strain during exercise. For example, a hunch position is known as kyphosis. Kyphosis is actually as a result of a learned pattern of behavior, so sitting at desk, hunching over, etc. So this disorder actually causes a reduced length or range of motion within the pectoral muscles in addition to reduced functioning or strength within the thoracic region of the body, so in between your shoulder blades. This means the shoulder blades aren't set back, yet therefore the shoulders will set forward. So this is a diagram that actually details the physical deviations caused by kyphosis. So as you can see, there's a slight curvature or an increased curvature in the thoracic region of the spine to the upper region of the spine. This increased hinge of the vertebra will actually cause impingements down the spine. So how does this kyphotic tendency actually affect us during exercise, or how does it cause the increased prevalence of injury? For example, on a movement such as a squat, you are further putting tension through that spine, therefore further exacerbating the curve that has been created by kyphosis itself. This therefore means the spinal or the structural integrity of the spine will therefore be depleted and you're more susceptible to injuries such as back stress. A small example shows the need for body balance in addition to the idea of prehab. So assessing your injuries or assessing your deviations in order to allow rectification. We fix this issue. Okay, so we know the injuries, we know the susceptibility of injuries, we know the common injuries that are associated with circuit-based training. So now we can therefore put a program in place in order to alleviate them. So what I've decided to do is I've created a small mobility program consisting of 4 sessions in order to aid you along this prevention process.